Yo, what's going on? I just wanted to do this video to share with you my experience of this guy running for presidential 2020 uh, as a presidential candidate for 2020. His name is Andrew Yang. Um, and I have to say that I'm very underwhelmed by my experience. My reason for saying that is I decided to go to one of his rallies this evening. It was from 5 to 8. I showed up about 10 minutes early. When I got there, there was no signage outside, so I didn't know if I was actually at the right address. When I actually went in there, there were people who it was a bike shop, so people were working on bikes, and it seemed like they didn't really know that people were going to be coming there wondering what's up. But, I was like kind of wondering, asking people, am I in the right place? They said, yes, here. And there was like no seating anywhere, anything like it was just really weird. I like organic, but to me, this was just not very welcoming environment. So knowing that the next few things were going to happen really made me feel not good about that whole experience. So um, I got in there and I saw a few people and kind of asked them, and they said, "Yeah, it's here. It's over there, whatever." And they pointed in a corner where they had cameras and all that stuff set up, and it was really weird. It's like there's nowhere to sit. And then when I actually started walking there, I saw this guy. And, I have a lot of questions about how this is going to be coordinated. And I didn't want to take up a whole lot of his time because I wanted to be fair to other people. But I don't think that, in terms of impressions, I don't feel like he was really personable. When I first came to the bike shop, I actually was on the street and I met a girl, and then I thought she was just a person who was coming. She was actually involved. It was a black lady was involved with them. She didn't even know where to park, so apparently nobody really communicated. So when we got in there, I saw her walking up to him and they were talking. So I was like, well, maybe there's another room and they're talking about where the room was. So I was going to follow them. And when I walked up to them, he turned around and looked at me with this really evil like look. It was just a feeling that I got from the look that he gave me that reinforced the fact that I didn't feel like he was personable. And I felt like, it was very disingenuous for you to have something, a rally of this sort, and then somebody comes and then you kind of make them feel uncomfortable. Like, you've got to know that you give off this energy and you're running for a 2020 candidate. Apparently not. I think, this kind of reinforced a lot of feelings that I have about candidates, because this was my first experience at a uh, going to a candidate, uh, uh, a rally. So, I said when I came this far, so I'm gonna listen to what is said. There was a white girl that was there. I can't remember her name for the life of me, but she was more personable than anybody there. I seen other people getting greeted. Maybe it's because I have locks. I'm not really sure. It always can be something about somebody. So I just left to just feel like I definitely was singled out. Um, but I went there. I sat through everybody talking, just talking, not really being able to ask questions. I asked, the girl some questions, said, you'll have to direct that at Andrew Young because she didn't have the answer. Because he's running for what he's running, I want to know how this affects other programs. And I had a lot of questions, and a lot of people who come from the demographic that I do will have a lot of these questions. I need something answered. So we went through listening to all these different people who have experiences and they want to hear, about their experiences. And their experiences really didn't resonate with me because, some of these people were from privileged environments. Some of these people were business owners. These people were immigrants, and I'm sitting up here, we're in Detroit, Michigan, like where the majority of people since I was born and raised here have been people of color. And so I wanted to hear that perspective. Like, why are you canvassing here just because it's been gentrified? And, there was another black guy that was there, and, he raised some interesting questions. I think that he said things in the way that he felt it, but he's been living here. I've been in the military, so he's been living here and experiencing. So he was very emotional about what he felt, and I don't really feel like this guy had a response for him. I don't think he was prepared for that type of conversation or that dialogue. Now, I will tell you that I was the first person outside of people that were working there waiting on this man to hear what you got to say. And I raised my hand throughout the process. And next thing you realize, I'm looking up and he's out of time. Now, I sat here for 3 hours, waited for y'all to get it together, looked for some answers, couldn't find no answers. And then we get to the end and you ain't got no more time. You answering 2 and 3 questions from all these other people and nothing from you. So, I really felt like this guy, Andrew Yang, I didn't connect with him on any level besides what was on paper. And that proved not to, I don't have enough information from what the discussion was to even subscribe to this. And, I went there with an open mind, but I have to say that the majority of people in there were white. And I think that he caters to white people. Unfortunately, it's really sad that, you can't have a dialogue with somebody who comes to a grassroots. There was less than 50 people in there. And to me, that you can answer 2 or 3 questions from certain people and not limited if you know that you can't get around to all the questions. There's so many. If you can't control conversation with less than 50 people, how can you govern a country? And it just seems like, as usual, minorities are not a part of the conversation. We didn't even get to know veteran issues or disabled veteran issues, but or they didn't, because I wasn't involved in the conversation at all. It was basically somebody preaching to the choir. But I do feel like, this individual is not interested in what minorities have to say, and I can only say this because one of the people of color that was there, a black man, he felt very emotional about the fact of the gentrification of the city. And though I haven't lived in Detroit for 20 years and I've come back here, I see the same thing happening with, everybody in Detroit pays all these taxes, and the only improvement that they're doing downtown. And guess who lives downtown? White people. And they pushing all the black people out. So he wanted to know, the black guy wanted to know, hey, what's going to be done about this? And the only response that I heard from this guy is, oh, this $1,000 is going to take care of that. I can only say with somebody like this, with Andrew Yang, you come from too much privilege and you don't understand that $1,000 don't really cover anything. Yeah, it's great what you plan on doing. That's really wonderful. Any economist can do that. But when it comes to relating to people and understanding the challenges, when somebody comes and waits for you for 3 hours to hear you out and they're the first person to come see you, you damn sure better answer their one question, at least one question from them, and not be doing 2 and 3 questions from everybody else. But it just shows that, it's another person who is not ready for that type of accountability for other people. But I do not recommend or endorse Andrew Yang. He wasted my 3 hours and did not answer any of my questions. I will say that I did not plan on. He said, well, you can stay after and ask for questions. I felt like you haven't chose to respect the fact that you should have known that I was the first person here. I was the first person that you saw that wasn't a part of your camp, but you didn't take the time to answer one of my questions. I'm not staying after 3 hours for you to waste some more of my time. And even the questions that you asked for other people, the questions that they were asking was on videos on YouTube. The questions I had were more specific to people's issues who are being ignored. Veterans, disabled veterans, and minority communities. And he was ill prepared to handle any of that. But I just wanted to do this because I wanted people to know what my experience was, and you will most likely have the same experience. But I wanted to share that. I'm out.